Hello friend, welcome back to my channel KBS Technocraft Python tutorial day 6 part 1. If you are interested in learning more about Python basics, I highly recommend checking out some of my previous video. If you like, please like, subscribe and share. Today we are going to learn exception handling. So before we go to the programming, I would like to explain what is exception. An exception is an event which occurs during the execution of program that disrupt the normal flow of the program. For example, let's say consider you are trying to display a number and that number is not defined in your program. In Python, let's consider I have a I have a print statement here where what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to print a number. But this, as I have mentioned the variable name here, this variable is not defined. So when you run this code, what you are going to get it, you are going to see that it's going to throw the exception. Okay, so if you see here, you are able to see an exception occurs. Now let's say consider if you don't use the try block. Okay. In that case, what will happen? This print, since you have not handled that exception, it's going to display that error in your console. So if you see here, okay, you see here, this is going to display a message name error. Okay, so it's going to display. So in Python, you can handle that exception. When we say handle exception, if you know in this program this kind of exception can occur, then what would be the handling for that? What you want to display a message, you want to write some different statement to handle that, how you want to do that. So in Python, basically there are four major blocks which we use for exception handling: try block, except block, else block, and finally block. Try block, within the try block, we will write the statement or function or code which you want to execute it where the exception can occur. Then we will use except. So if any exception occurs in that particular block, let me go to the code and I will try to explain here. So this is the code. So this is the try block. This is the try where inside this we are writing our statement which can or can throw any exception during the execution. And then except block where if any exception or any specific, you can define a specific exception as well. So I will explain later part of this video how to define a particular exception. Like for example, here we are getting name error. So if you want to catch only that error, how to do that? So exception block is basically once the exception happened, after catching that exception, what do you want to do that? Okay. Now the third is else block. Let's say consider if there is no exception occurs during the execution, then what do you want to do that? You can define it else block. Finally block is used to let the statement within a finally block execute regardless of the result. Even though if its exception occur, then also the final block statement will execute. If exception does not occur, then also the finally block will get executed. So we will go one by one and we will see how we can use it. Okay. So let's say consider here you want to fix this issue. To fix this issue or this program which this variable undefined which is causing the issue, then in that case if you put declare this and you run this code, then you'll be able to see the result. So you can see 10 is displaying, and earlier since 10 was not declared, that variable was not declared, that's why you got a exception. Okay, now let's say consider you want to use else block here. So else block is used for what? Else block is used for displaying if this does not exception does not occur. So for example, I will write else block here, else I will print I put no exception occur. Okay, so now if you run this code, okay, if you see, since we have defined it, that variable here, and we assign 10 value, then what is happening? This code execute, and it does not execute this code because there is no exception occurs, and then after the successful execution of this statement, it's coming to else. Is it come to know here that this does not have any exception, so it's display this particular message. Now, if I comment this line of code and run this, you will see an exception occur is going to display, and it's not going to. So if you see, only this statement is displaying here. It's not displaying that no exception occur because actually this exception occur here. Now we will see how we can handle different scenario. So in Python you can find out different kind of uh, error. But for example, this exception, we say in this scenario, when we get this error, is basically is name exception. So for example, if I run this code, if I run this code and exception will occur, and you will be able to see the name name error exception is coming. So if you want to handle only this exception, then how to handle it? To handle this, you have to specify that particular type of exception which you want to handle it. For example, name error. So we have to define name error. So let's say consider in this case, okay. So this is the positive scenario when we know this program is going to return name error, and then I try to catch that name error type of exception, because we have seen that when we do not have a try catch block, what is happening is a displaying the name error. So that's why I placed it name error. We'll see that how this program behave now. Okay, what will happen? It will say that it's displaying here and it's coming under the name. Okay, so I will mention here. Let's say consider this, and if I run it again, you'll be able to see this exception is going to be thrown from the system. I'm trying to run it. It's look like terminal is getting hanged. Okay, till the time is showing the exception, we will try to know how many types are exceptions, types exceptions are. For example, divide by zero. When you divide any number by zero, then this particular error will come. Index out of range exception, when you are trying to find a index which is not in range. For example, if a list is defined 10 and you try to find the 11th element of that particular list, then it will throw the exception. Name error. Name error will happen when you do not declare, as we have seen, when you do not declare a variable and you try to uh, use that in your program. In that case, name error will come. Type error, when you are assigning a incompatible type. For example, you have declared string and you are defining integer, or you have declared integer and you are trying to assign string value. In that case, the type error will come. File not found error will come when you are trying to read or write a file which is not exist. Okay, so these are system defined exception. Again, you can define your own user defined exception as well, where you can define your own type of exception. So it comes here. If you see all these three times when execute, a name error occurs. So you can see this exception is coming here. Okay, so we will go one by one type of exception and we'll try to understand in more detail. So let's try to understand divide by zero. As I have mentioned, divide by zero, when you try to divide a number with zero, then you will be get it. So in this case, let's say consider you are having a variable where x equal to 1 by 0, where we are trying to divide by 0. Then in this case it will throw exception divide by 0. So you can see divide by 0 exception is coming. If I make it 1, you will see that this is not throwing any exception. Okay, so there is no exception. I will put else block so that you will be able to know that this executed, and I will print no exception occurs. No exception. I'll remove this and I will run it. So in this case, you can see this is not going to throw any exception or catch any exception, because no exception, you can see no exception is coming. Similar way we can look on other type as well. For example, range exception. So for this we will define a range, that means index exception. To do that, we will define a list and we'll try to find out element which is out of that list. For example, if you see in this, we have defined a list which contains three elements and we are trying to find out the third index. Third index means since the list will store, let me type here, store from 0 1 to 0, this is 0 index, and then this is 1 and this is 2. So since we are trying to find the third index of this, you will be able to get the error. So I would like to add else here as well, else, and then okay, print no exception. No exception for index out of range. So in this program we will see once again, here we are defining a list and we are trying to print the index which is not part of that particular list. Then we will get the index error because index is out of range, and then it will come under the except block and it will display this message. Okay, let me run it this. Okay, so if you see index out of range exception, if I put it here as 4 and run it, let me clear the console and run it, then you will be able to see 4 is displayed and no exception for index out of range. That messes whatever I explain it here. Okay, now we will see other type of exception which may occur. So let's say consider you want to write a program where you know that there might be multiple type of exception can happen. So for example, if you want to write a program where you want to have it multiple except block. So let's see here. Okay, here we are trying to print, and then we are trying to handle if name error comes, then it will come in this except block, otherwise it will come in this except block. So the first time when we run it, we know this particular variable. Let me type here not defined variable. Okay, so not defined variable is not defined. Then since its name does not exist, it will say that name error. And then if you see it here, you will variable x is not defined here. Okay, now let's say consider the variable x is defined equal to 10. We defined it, and then we'll divide by 0. So in that case, what exception will come? It will come the divide by 0 exception, and it will not come under this. It will come into the generate exception here, because we have not defined any type. It is a global exception catch where it will catch all the exceptions. So let me clean this console window and run it. When I run it, you will be able to see. Okay, you see here it's just displaying something else went wrong. Okay, so now let's consider this exception also. We want to handle it, that is the divide by zero division error, that is called zero division error. And I want to this zero division error. Now I want to add one more exception block, that is for generic exception handling, and I will put generic error. Okay, so now if you run it in this case, what will, since here is a define. Okay, you see divide zero error. So now if any error comes outside the name error and zero division error, in that case what will happen, it will display that particular error. So for example, we will try to put index out of error code there, and we will see what is displaying there. So in this case, I will try to replace this by this. So here, okay, here what we are doing, we are having the previous example where we have seen index out of index error, and then we just have same declaration. So that now, since this error is not any kind of name error or zero division error, it will come on the global exception. So if I run it here, I can see this generic error, because it's not the type of error which we have cached in the first and second block. That's why it's coming on the third except block. Okay, now we'll move on to type error. What is the type error? How this type error is happened? Let's say consider you have a string value and you want to perform a plus operator or minus operation on a particular with a particular integer. So here in this we have a string. One is the string and two is integer. And then when you try to apply the arithmetic plus operator, you will get the error, because cannot concatenate a string to number. If I convert this as a string, you will be able to see that it's able to convert into the string. Okay, so there is no error. So if I put here else block, like how I have done it, if I put else block and try to print it, then you will be see here, you will be able to see no error. So if I run this code and clean up this console, then you can see it will display no error, because now both are a string. Okay, let's move to the next kind of error, assertion error. When this assertion error will come. So let's say consider you are trying to put a equal operator when these are not equal. For example, here assert. So in this case, what we are doing, we are having assert on 1 exactly equal to 2, and 1 is not equal to 2. This is what it is, right? So let's say if I run it, okay, So if you see it's coming on error. So for example, if you want to check this error is coming on this block or not, you will be able to see. I'm trying to display error here. Let me run this code. See, it's coming on error because we are trying to display the error what is coming. So if you want to display error what is thrown by the statement, then you can define except as error, and then you can tie to print it. It will print the error whatever. So if I run this code, you will be able to see this error whatever is wrong is there, that will display here. Okay, so in this case, let's say consider, let's go for the next examples. You can raise exception by using the raise, let's say consider you, if you want to raise exception. So in that case, how do you want to write? Let's say consider in some scenario when a particular business validation fails or a particular code you want to throw exception. So in that case, you have to use raise exception. So raise exception, but what does it do? It will raise exception here. So this is a generic exception which will raise it. So for example, if I clean up this and run it, you will be able to see the raise exception is throwing this exception here. Okay, it's not a particular type, it's generic exception is throwing here. Okay, now if you want to use the finally block, this is finally block. So irrespective of whether there is error or not, it will display. So for example, let me print, okay, and then n is not defined yet. So now we know that it's going to throw exception. Okay, so here I will mention error occur so that you will know that error. Okay, so we are mentioning error occur, and here we are mentioning this is finally blocked. So when you run it, you will be able to see if error is coming, then also error occurs. This is error occurs is displaying when error is coming, and the finally block, this statement is getting displayed. Now if we put here 10, we want to display 10 and run it, that means there is no error. So if you see in this case also, the finally block is getting executed. So the finally block will execute irrespective of whether in this program there is exception or not. So that's all for today. I hope I have covered all the points for exception handling. And if you like, please like, subscribe my channel. Thank you so much for watching my channel. Thank you.